The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 563. Mr. Somich.
Little bit of a Travers.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. This might be... Actually, let me rephrase this. It is going to be very difficult to top the Travers as race of the year. If you look at who is in that, and I mean, all of these horses plus whoever else is good in the older horse division would all need to be in the Breeders' Cup Classic for me to say it's a better race. This is an amazing Travers, and we're doing an amazing sequence that's all 5 grade 1 sequences and a mandatory payout. Well, what could be better?
It's a fun sequence. We were talking a little bit before the show. Could be a chalky sequence. We're both being, I'm being very aggressive with my ticket. I'm playing just one $5 ticket. I'm not going to mess around. But I will say this. I think it would take you 6 guesses without looking at my ticket to know who I put on top in the Travers.
Interesting. Very interesting. Sean Nesbitt. Hi, Ed. Hi, Sean. Says, just missed last week. If you use the Franken ticket method, you cashed in at Del Mar last week. Still a little pissed off that one of us didn't hit that individually, but together we're like, oh shoot, what is it? Captain Planet. What's the Planeteers? Was that what their name was? By their powers combined. That's where I was going with.
We could be the Wonder Twins, right?
There we go. I like that better since there's 2 of us.
Activate. That what you're looking for? Yeah, last week was frustrating. Had 3 horses into the last leg on a, what was it, $60 ticket. They paid $1,500 and up. Couldn't get any of them home. You missed the first leg or else you were there. So it was one of those where we were both 4 for 5 and just couldn't quite get there.
You mentioned Wonder Twins. I can't stop thinking about Family Guy when Peter's the male power of Jana's tampon, and he hops into her purse. And now we wait. Nick Seaver says for Mike's Travers top pick, toss the top 4, guess those 4 horses.
Well, yeah, I mean, after I tease it that it would take 6 guesses, now it's easy to guess, right? But if I just said, hey, who do you think I'm picking in the Travers? It would take a while for you to get there.
Huh. I looked at your ticket just to try and figure out, and yeah, you're right. No, I would not have guessed that horse.
Yeah. See, This is what we call the long tease in the industry. You're not going to find out who it is for another 50 minutes here because we got to talk about the other races first. DQ on Dettori was bull hunky. The ride by Rosario caused the DQ. He's even hurting other jockeys now trying to get wins because of what he's doing. He could have just gone 3 wide and won the race for fun. Instead, he tries to go up the rail and gets cut off by Dettori. And it really was kind of the 7 that came into the 1 that came into the 4. But hey, it's Naira. What are you going to do?
That's the bell curve, the power of the bell curve that is Joel Rosario. Is there no drone view? I don't know. I don't watch Naira. I really don't. I watch the big races. That's it. I'm not my other job outside of this is covering pretty much every track that's not Naira. So I couldn't help you on that one, Daryl.
Yeah, I watch Naira every day, but I watch the Saratoga feed. I never watch the show. I would bet. Fox should have the drone feed shot. You would think by now, but the Saratoga feed does not.
Speaking of Saratoga, the weather, fingers crossed, knock on wood, it's looking like we're going to have good weather. And that was part of the reason why I was like, okay, we'll go back to Saratoga once. I know I swore it off the rest of the meet after the shit show that have happened lately, but it looks like they've got good weather. And again, Travers, to me, race of the year, unless every single one of these horses plus a couple other big names show up for the Classic. So it's going to be an exciting one. That's the end of the sequence. So the sequence is races 9 through 13. They're all grade 1 races, one of them on turf. 3 of them are 7 furlongs, which is, I think you and I are kind of sick in that we love handicapping 7 furlong dirt sprints.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. And I think before you say riders up, I think we're almost like obligated to at least say Torpedo Anna's name once. So I took care of that for us. Now we'll leave her off till the Travers. Now I am live in the biggest little city in the world. I'm in Las Vegas at the Circa Resort here doing shows Friday through Monday. So came in a day early.
Yeah, I when I hopped into the room in the background, I was like, he's in a hotel room. Is he in Las Vegas or is he jet setting somewhere else? He's in Las Vegas, and we are covering damn it, I already did it wrong. The all grade 1 pick 5 at Saratoga on Saturday, August 24th, races 9 through 13, mandatory payout. Riders up.
Find the button.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, what the heck? Reno's the biggest little city.
Vegas was the biggest little city in the world before Reno stole it. So I'm sticking with it.
Have you been to Reno before? I still haven't visited.
I've flown into Reno once to go to Lake Tahoe. That was it.
Okay.
So very, very quick stop. I've got some stories that I cannot tell on air about interacting with people at Reno trying to get them to Lake Tahoe. And I'll just leave it at that because I was there for a bachelor party. You could fill in the blanks.
Ah, interesting. Anyways, the first leg of the all grade 1 late pick 5 at Saratoga. Talk about a long tease. Saturday, August 24th, race 9 is the grade 1 Sword Dancer Stakes. 6 older males routing a 1.5 miles on the inner turf. It's a 3-turn test. Trainer Charlie Appleby's got 2 of them made here that both look ultra tough. Where'd you go on top?
I like that. Talk about a long tease. Well played, Magic. Look, this is a 2-horse race. I think we can kind of agree on that. It's measured time the 2, silver not the 4. And when we have 2-horse races, I'm always going to single. It's just kind of what I do, especially in a sequence like this where I feel like it's hard to really extract a ton of value here if you're going too deep here and you don't have prices you like later. And I have one price I like later. We'll talk about it. Don't you worry. But look, Silver Knot is kind of a conundrum to me because Silver Knot wasn't very good last year. If you look back to the Twilight Derby, if you look back to Breeders' Cup Day, just not as good of a horse as what we've seen in the 4-year-old season. Pratt rode the last 3 times, and Silver Knot has looked phenomenal. Kind of feels like this was the Silver Knot they expected to have over in the U.S. when they originally sent Silver Knot over the U.S. So you have to kind of recalibrate your brain when looking at Silver Knot and forget everything before this year. All that being said, when Appleby has 2 horses and William Buick rides one of them, generally that's the horse you want to go to. And this is an interesting situation because Pratt has rode for Appleby the last 3 times and rode well for Appleby the last 3 times. I'm still going to go with Measured Time, though. I think Measured Time was the better horse in the barn when they sent Silver Knot over here. It's one of the reasons Silver Knot came to the U.S. Measured Time has consistently had Buick run in some of the biggest races around the world. I thought Measured Time looked awesome in the first start here in the U.S., so I'm going to go with the 2 horses, my single here, Measured Time.
I put them on top. I used both the Applebees because it was like, well, they're both Applebees. Again, I'm playing for 50 cents. Mike's playing for $5, so he's being a lot more aggressive. If I was going to single, I'd go the way you did, but they both are interesting in that they're Europeans with tactical style where they like to be forwardly placed. They don't need the lead, but if you give one of them the lead, they're going to go off and probably win that way, especially with what we've seen from Silver Knot. You brought up the Silver Knot he's now turning into what Appleby probably hoped for earlier in his career. I'll never forget sitting there in the Airbnb in Lexington with you and Aaron and Jared and I. We were all talking about like, all right, let's play like an aggressive, 2-year-old pick 5 or something like that. And we were like, oh, the most likely winner of this entire thing is Silver Knot. And then the mother effer went out there and lost by like a nose to Victoria Road. And we were so confident in him. And then losing that was kind of a sign of things to come for the next day because we also had a really rough day on Saturday. But you're right. 3 for 3 in 2024 is Silver Knot. I like that he has the distance experience, right? He's raced at 1 3/8 in the last 2 races. Before that, it was 1.5 miles. We're going to be going 1.5 miles here. Measured Time, if I had a knock on him, he's never gone this far on turf. The one time he went 1.5 miles, it was on synthetic. It was a 4-horse field, and he was in 3rd place early on. So like the horse Lion's Pride won. He just made all, as they say over there. So it's not much of a knock, but there is a slight knock that distance-wise, Silver Knot has the advantage, at least from an experience.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. You can't, Silver Knot has done this before. Has won over this course before as well at this distance. The Measured Time did win at Saratoga in the Grade 1 Manhattan, but that was 1 mile and 3/16, not the 1.5 mile distance we have today. So Silver Knot, a little bit more experienced from that perspective. I think it's gonna be interesting who makes the lead because it's one of these 2, right? Like, you know what? When I was handicapping this race, I really wish we could just say who was going to finish 3rd, and I could bet Soldier Rising as a single because Soldier Rising is 100% finishing 3rd in this race. I think it's harder to pick the top horse than the 3rd place horse here. I just go back to Measure Time, and again, like Chris said, Appleby literally says that Buick rides his best horse, and he decided to keep this one in Europe to ride in all the big stakes in Europe, to ride in Dubai versus sending him over to the U.S. Like, it just feels like Appleby believes Measured Time is the better horse here. Buick makes the trip across the pond to ride specifically this horse. Appleby could have just had Silver Knot in this spot and won this race, but Measured Time is still here. And that to me tells me that he believes Measured Time has big things ahead of him. I can't not trust Appleby in that case, because he has been right more times than he's been wrong about these horses coming over from Europe.
I'm with you on Soldier Rising finishing third. I was like, you should do like a 2-5 over 2-5 over 1 over 3. And there's your superfecta, because I think Far Bridge comes on late to get fourth, probably in that spot.
2-4 over 2-4 over 1 over 3.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. 2-5. No, not Pioneering Spirit. No. No justice for Linden in this race. Thank you for correcting me. But yeah, so we both agree. Measure Time, the top pick. Buick's in Down to Ride. I'm going to go too deep. I'll use the 4 Silver Knot as well. I might take it second leg of the late pick. I did again. The all grade 1 pick 5 at Saratoga, August 24th. It's race 10. It's the grade 1 Ballerina Handicap. This is the race that kicks off the late pick 5 if you want to play that. We've got fillies and mares, 8 of them, 4 and up, going 7 furlongs on the main track. The first of 3 straight 7 furlong dirt sprints. We're gluttons for punishment. We love handicapping races like this. Who you got on top?
Man, I thought this was a little harder than the last race, but I am still going to go with the chalk here. And I guess I took the second choice in the last race, but give me the 3-horse Vava here. We talked about Vava quite a bit on this show. I've been high on Vava for a while. Had her in the Derby City Distaff, had her in the Chicago, going to have her again here. I had her in the Madison's Run when she lost Ava Star. I think that this is just your class, specifically going this distance. The 7 furlongs built for her. She's 5 for 7 with 2 seconds over the distance. The Saratoga, the one knock against her. She's run twice here in her career, but both of those were maiden efforts, so I'm not really going to hold that against her. She's become a much different horse since she raced in those. Sherry DeVoe, we know about her on this show. Love her, love what she does here. Irad going to be back in the saddle as well. I think that's a positive. I think this sets up really well for her too. You've got multiple horses that want the lead, and she should be able to sit right behind those horses. I'd expect Money's Gold and Society go out at a pretty hot pace, and you've got Vava just sitting in third waiting. And that is the exact trip that she wants. It should set up well against this field. I think she's going to be ultra tough in here. I am going to, again, just since it's a $5 ticket, I'm going to single up here in back-to-back ones here. I'm going to go 3 with 2 or 2 with 3 to start out the $5 ticket and just single Vava here.
Top pick for me as well. No surprise. She's 5 for 7 at the distance. 2 narrow defeats at 7 furlongs. However, Ed Burke brings up why I didn't single her here. She's lost her last 2 starts off of a layoff going 7 furlongs. And let's take a look at that. So in 2023, came off of a 2-month layoff in the grade 3 victory ride. She finished 3rd, going 6.5 furlongs there. Lost by 4 lengths. Maple Leaf Mel, that was, our rest in peace Maple Leaf Mel, but she was unbelievably fast early and just went gate to wire and scorched that track up. The grade 1 Madison, she came back from a 6-month layoff for that race. Alva Star beat her. Alva Star on a very speed. Ignore the fact that DRF says it was heavily favoring closers. That's complete bullshit. Because
correct. Yeah.
I don't understand where they get this. I went back and looked because I don't remember it being like that. I remember it being the opposite. 7 dirt races that day. 6 of them, the winner was on the lead at the top of the stretch. The only horse that closed to win was Sierra Leone in the Bluegrass. Every other dirt winner was on the front end as they came off the turn. Alva Star was one of those. All of that in mind, who's the horse that's going to be on the lead? It's the 4 Society. So I went 3 forward here because the only way anyone has beaten Vava is if they get off to an early, easy lead and nobody pushes them and they're just talented enough to beat her. Now, Society, she's not as good as, boy, this is bad. Alva Star and Maple Leaf Mel, the last 2 horses to beat Vava are both dead now. That just made me really deposed. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Society if she wins this, but
don't beat Vava. That's what you learned.
Oh my goodness, dude, it is bad news for Positano Sunset beat her. She's still in this race. Retire her before the race, please, God. No, seriously though, Society 3 for 6 at the distance. 2 buyers that are better than Vava's career best. Vava's career best is a 103 for winning the Derby City Distaff. Society's got a 106 for winning at Charlestown. She got a 105 for winning the 2023 grade 3 Chicago. So I went 3-4 just because if somebody beats Vava, what we've seen is it's a horse that gets out to an early, easy lead and has enough talent to hold her off late. So I went 3-4.
Yeah, let's remember that those numbers were from Charlestown and Ellis Park, the two numbers that beat her. So let's grain of salt it a little bit here. Sometimes those smaller tracks, when they get big time horses, you see big time numbers that aren't necessarily completely reminiscent of what they actually pop. As for the off the layoff people, I think that Nick put it well. Is 63 days really a layoff anymore in 2024? That's not very long. Secondly,
it was last year for Vava.
Well, yeah, but like she didn't run bad. She ran into track bias. To me, there's a very big difference than running poorly and running into a track bias. Like no one was beating Alvastar that day because of the way that track played and the fact that she just could not possibly close the ground. And let's not forget she broke her maiden off a layoff of a similar amount, September to November of 22, going 7 furlongs over Churchill's Dirt. So it's not like she's never succeeded off a layoff. And the two times that you're pointing to, again, both very speed heavy favoring tracks. And I mean, even the Victory Ride, where it was her second try against Stakes Company, first tried spring against Stakes Company. She was 8-1 that day. Like she kind of ran where she was supposed to. She wasn't supposed to win the race. So I'm not going to hold the layoff against her in any way. I actually thought if anyone on the lead wins here, it's Money's Gold, who just freaks. We've seen her freak before. And if she gets the lead and just goes crazy up front and this track holds speed, I would actually rather take a shot at 10-1 than I would with Society there at 4-1. I thought I had Scalia in second, the 5 horse here, just because I do like her on the cutback. I think that the trip sets up well. I do think the pace is fast, and maybe you end up seeing Vava just a little too close to that fast pace, and she's able to run her down late. Not something that I would, again, I'm going 1D. I'm singling here, but I was 3-5-8 if I wanted to get a little crazy in here. The brown horse of Seed, I was more interested early in the career than I am now.
Yeah.
And like maybe Chi-Town Lady, if you want to go absolutely nuts and you think this is going to collapse, but I like she liked 7 furlongs, but to me it was hard to get around Vava in this spot. I felt like she towered over this field.
There's a small part of me that just dies inside every time I see Chi-Town Lady because of the Minaret Stakes when I still don't understand how she beat Unifying that day at Tampa. Yeah, Dennis is on Scylla. I was more interested in Scylla in this spot before the Clement Hirsch. She had the lead, and you could say, well, she's going to mile and 16th. She's won handily at a mile and the 16th, mile and the 8th before. Mile and the 16th, Adair Manor had all sorts of troubles in the Clement Hirsch, pinched back, boxed in off the turn. Juan Hernandez was probably thinking he was going to get fired by Baffert if he lost that race. Got her out of trouble and blew past Scylla like she was standing still. To me, I was like, okay, Scylla, she'll be sharper cutting back, but sorry, Scylla's not for me in here. And where was it? I saw? Oh yeah, Ed Burke brings up the Lasix regarding Money's Gold. 4 for 4 with Lasix. Without Lasix, 0 for 4. She got second in the 8 bells, but that was that was the race that what was it? Exceed. Yeah, Exceed should have probably been up there for second, but didn't get there. But yeah, not good for Money's Gold when she's not on Lasix.
Yeah, it's been tough for her, but the fact that Pletcher keeps running back makes me think that it might be the level of competition, not the Lasix, because it's held in grade 1s or grade 2s that you're pointing to as the losses, which I'd say a lot easier to forgive than losing an allowance or a state-bred Florida Stakes. So yeah, to me, it's that is kind of fun fact. 2 different buyers in 7 different races. So I'm looking like I don't think Society's good enough to win, because the 2 races you point to are 2 tracks where I'm not going to give full credit to those figures. Money's Gold at least could freak in my mind. Like if anyone does, to me, it's Money's Gold that does it. That's why if I was going to play someone on top with her, it's 10-1. But all of these are simply like Vava has to somehow not run well for anyone to beat her.
Yeah.
And she doesn't not run well very often. And even when she doesn't run well, it's because she's against a bias, not because she didn't show up. And so that makes her a tough horse to get around. And again, like I don't think you can get any value out of the first race. It's either even money or 7-5. I think it's very hard to get value out of this race. And so you've got to find a way to structure your ticket so that you can try and make the most money possible. And to me, that's singling both these first 2 legs.
Chris brings up, Scylla's only run 2 different buyer figures in 7 career starts. It's either an 87 or 93. That's a great catch, Chris. I didn't notice that, and I'm looking at it, and I can't unsee that. That's
it's pretty impressive, really.
It is. We'll see what happens here.
8 races, 487s, 493s.
Wow. Well, she's consistent. Guess what? Neither of those figures is going to be good enough to win this race. Sorry, Still fans. Speaking of 7 furlong grade 1 races, let's move on to the third leg. the all grade one pick 5. It's the Forego Stakes, race 11, 8 older males, going 7 furlongs, as I mentioned here on the main track. Where'd you go on top in this one?
I am going to a horse that owes me. And that is going to be the 8-horse Cagliostro here. I still do not forgive Cagliostro for losing in the blame. That was a very painful one.
Highland Falls!
That was, and Highland Falls kind of stinks too. So I'm not sure why Cagliostro lost that. Oh, wait, because it was a mile and an eighth. And this horse doesn't want to go over a mile and 16th. Anyway, we're going 7 furlongs, and I think that's going to be a very good distance. Gone 7 furlongs once before in his career, but that was the first start in this 9 post here at Saratoga. Again, I'm going to forgive the horse there. Multiple efforts at a mile I thought were very good. The one effort at Churchill Downs coming from off the pace, first time out off a layoff midway through the 3-year-old season. And then last time at Churchill being able to win rather easily in the hash in there. This is another one where I think it sets up very well for a horse to be able to come from off the pace. And guess who really can do that at 7 furlongs? That's Cagliostro. We've seen this horse pass horses before. We've seen this horse be fourthly placed before. You also get Jose Ortiz up, who Cherie DeVoe has a ton of success with. They've been teamed up 39 times the last 2 years, 26% win percentage when they do team up. He's Jose Ortiz is 1 on this horse, 2 back at Keeneland. This is just one of those all systems go. And notice what happened after Cherie put the blinkers on this horse. The last 3 races with blinkers, 98, 96, 97 from a buyer perspective, 3 career best buyers. We got the blinkers back. We got the pace set up. I think it's all systems go here for the 8 Cagliostro. So we're going on top with the 8. And yes, Chris is correct. There's 0 chance we're getting 9-2. I'm going to go too deep here. I'm not singling here.
I did not put on top, but I absolutely used. And wouldn't it be awesome for Cherie DeVoe to win back-to-back grade 1 races on the biggest day of the year at Saratoga when her former boss, Chad Brown, is loves to win all those races. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, I use this horse. I ended up going with Mulligan on top, the 6 horse. So unbelievably impressive as in 2024, just like Cagliostro, except I would say well, I wouldn't say better because Cagliostro's 1 loss. You mentioned it was a mile and an eighth, a little too far for the horse. If that race was a mile and a 16th, he absolutely beats Highland Falls. Mulligan, undefeated in 3 starts this year. Did allowance win at Keeneland, really was kind of his unveiling for himself as a 4-year-old, winning by almost 6 lengths, and then came back at Churchill Downs, going 7 furlongs, won by over 3, and then won the grade 2 John Nehrude Stakes, going 7 furlongs. Now, this is a tougher group than he's faced in any race in his career, but he's on the improve. Flavian Pratt's back aboard here. It's Rudy Brissett who can get horses ready. He can win when it's fast. He can do well when it's sloppy. He had that 47-1 work 5 days ago at Keeneland, so he's still very much on edge. So I did use the 6 Mulligan. I went 3 deep. I used that horse that you brought up there. So if you used that horse as well, go ahead.
Mulligan by Pirates. Got to bring it back.
Yeah.
I use Mulligan as my second pick here. I didn't get too creative with the second choice. You brought up all the correct angles, right? Like this horse has run very well off the layoff here first. As a 4-year-old, Brissett has this horse in great form. Pratt riding well for it. I thought the last effort in the JA Nehrude was a very, very good race. However, didn't beat much. That's my biggest knock on Mulligan. And one of the reasons why I wouldn't single Mulligan here is because the waters get deeper. Waters get deeper, baby. But we'll see what Brissett can do here. 16% in stakes races, not the best grade 1 numbers. Chris Maiello is correct there. But I feel like Mulligan should get a very good trip right behind the speed. And that's been a very good trip at Saratoga going 1 turn. It's sitting right off the speed. Not necessarily on it, but right off it. So, I'm going to go 6 and 8 here. I thought about going 3 deep with the 7, thought about going 3 deep with the 1, but I ended up just going with the 6 and 8 here.
Okay. Chris, name one actual grade 1 horse that they've given to Rudy Brissett. He was forever a private trainer and finally went off on his own. And again, who's given him any grade 1?
He gets the leftovers. He gets the leftovers most of the time.
You could argue Ugiri, right? Ugiri was a grade 1 horse. And, what did she do? She was second to Goodnight Olive in the grade 1 Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint last year. Yes, he's 0 for 18 lifetime in grade 1 races. Name me one horse outside of maybe Ugiri he's ever had that was worthy of that until Mulligan.
This is his first favorite in a grade 1 race?
Ooh, that might be. Let me look that up. I literally, as you asked that question, I closed out of that. Let's see. Closing odds, favorites. He's never had a favorite in a grade 1 race. You're right.
Yeah. So here, when you're over 18, generally you don't have many favorites, right? But yeah, Mulligan going to be the first favorite here for Rudolph Brissett, assuming the 6 goes off as the favorite here.
Yeah. I did use shut up. Jason brings up make sure you use Baby Yoda. I did. I went 3 deep. I used the 4 Baby Yoda. He's not Casa Creed levels of King of Saratoga, but he's pretty damn good at Saratoga. He's 4 for 7 at Saratoga on the main track. He won the Grade 2 True North 2 races back when it was Belmont Stakes weekend. This is a good distance for him. 5 starts at Saratoga, going 6.5 or 7 furlongs, 3 wins and a third. The only time he was off the board was the Forego 2 years ago, and he was facing Cody's Wish and Jackie's Warriors. So yeah, everybody's fighting for third in that race. And we're upgrading, no offense to Eric Kinsella, but we're going from Eric Kinsella to Tyler Gaffalione. That's a good upgrade on a horse that, again, loves it at Saratoga. So just for a price, 8-1, I'll take Baby Yoda as well.
All right. Okay. It said it came out.
Oh, your audio. Yeah, you check it. Check your input settings on that one.
All right. Let me
your mic came out. I'll vamp from it. Ron Etchman says this leg, the Forego, has the highest probability to beat a favorite in the sequence. I agree. I think that the Vava, it's gonna. I'm playing a horse that might go gate to wire in front of her, but other than that, I think Vava wins. Mike did not put the favorite on top, so I think he agrees as well. This is the highest probability to be a favorite.
I disagree. I think the Travers is the highest possibility to beat the favorite. I don't like Dornock at all. So
I guess the morning line favorite. Does Dornock go off favored?
No, I think Fierceness does, which I also think is well, and we'll talk about that race when we get there. But I think
stop trying to make us cheat ahead, Ron.
Yeah, it's killing us. I think the last 3 races you can try and beat favorites. I think this is going to be interesting. I think Gunpilot might actually be the favorite over Mulligan when they go off, and we'll see what happens there. The next race I think is vulnerable favorites, the penultimate race of the penultimate pick 5. And then I think the last race also, you're going to have some vulnerable horses as well. We'll get to there in a second. To me, though, because it's so chalky early, you kind of have to press in those races and figure out where you want to go to be able to try and make this thing pay.
All right, the penultimate leg of the penultimate late pick 5. Pick 5 is Saratoga, not the late pick 5. At Saratoga, Saturday, August 24th, race 12 is the Grade 1 Allen Jerkens Memorial. 11 3-year-old males sprinting 7 furlongs on the main track. Travers might be race of the year. If the Travers isn't on the card, to me, this is the best race of the entire card because Bookham Dano's going to run. Prince of Monaco's here. Timberlake's here. Domestic Product, Speakeasy, World Record. Little Knee almost beat Bookham Dano. Jefferson Street. I mean, this is a packed field. This is an awesome field, Mike. What'd you put on top?
This is a fun one, man. I went back and forth. I considered, I think, 6 of these horses. I ended up going 2 deep in this spot. I might regret not going 3 deep. Look, I think I was driving the Bookham Dano bus for a while there, and I'm going to keep driving the Bookham Dano bus. I'm going to put Bookham Dano on top. He looked phenomenal in the Grade 1 Woody Stevens over this course, going 7 furlongs, beat Prince of Monaco that day. I think he gets a very similar setup. Man, they are going to blaze early in this race, and I think that favors a horse like Bookham Dano who wants to be able to come from off of it. He is in great form. If you look at the 2 races back, 100, 101 buyer, you could argue there's upside here for Bookham Dano as well. I love the fact that they are at Saratoga. We talked before the show about possibly going somewhere else with the same purse, a much easier field. He's here. He's running at Saratoga against the better field. I think that shows you how good Bookham Dano is doing. So give me the 8, Bookham Dano on top here. Who'd you go with on top, Magic?
Well, I went with Prince of Monaco, but before we do that, I do want, because I didn't use Bookham Dano. One of my biggest concerns is that he almost lost the Jersey Shore Stakes to Little Knee, who's back in here, but neither of us using Little Knee, and I didn't really see a huge excuse for why he almost lost that race. That came down to the wire. As a 1-5 favorite, he should have won by a considerable amount more. So what was your thinking there with using Bookham Dano and not Little Knee?
It's a 4-horse field, and they were going 6, not 7. 4-horse fields, to me, just completely like just shake the box, right? Anything can happen in those races because of how the pace sets up. You never get the awful trips unless you have Joel Rosario riding you, but you do get situations where like your horse is closer to the pace, further than the pace, because you have to be in specific spots so that you can make the run that you want to make. To me, Bookham Dano, a horse that I think wants to close, is much better in larger fields where you have much more early pressure on those horses who are up front versus when he's, forced to. Yes, he was in fourth, 5 lengths back in a 4-horse field, but you're not going to get the same pressure on those horses early that you will in a race like this, where you're going to be stacked 3-4 wide up front, blazing early. And then, it's the 7 furlongs is the other big difference here. That was 6 that day. I bet I'll take Bookham Dano and I'll give you 4 lengths and you can have Little Knee. We can go head to head. Because that's how different this scenario is in those 2 races, right? Little Knee is going to be on a contested pace with 4 other horses who want the lead. Bookham Dano is going to be able to sit off it and get the extra furlong. To me, it's because of the field size, because of the setup, completely different scenarios.
Well, I'm on top for me, since I didn't use Bookham Dano, especially the horse that almost beat him despite an absolutely horrible break in the Grade 1 Woody Stevens, and I think was the best horse in the Woody Stevens. That's a 5 Prince of Monaco. If you scratch off the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which going into that, I said he's a son of Spitestown against those other horses. Don't play him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He was bad in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Other than that, he's got 3 wins and a narrow second beat and a half length with a major asterisk for why he lost that race when he goes 1 turn. Bob Baffert is shipping him in here. Okay, so we lose Flavian Pratt, but we're getting John Velasquez, who wins 39% of his graded stakes mounts for Bob Baffert. So not a bad hired gun to have if you lose Flavian Pratt, the best jockey in America. So I went with the 5 Prince of Monaco on top. I understand if, for example, if it's the price, why you left him off, because Bookham Dano is, I believe, the favorite, right? 7-2 on the morning line, 4-1, on Prince of Monaco. So I think you have to split the difference, especially with how aggressive you're being. You got to split the difference with one of these. You went Bookham Dano. I went with Prince of Monaco.
Yeah, price was part of it. I agree that the trip should be better. I think that the bad trip, in a way, helped Prince of Monaco because he was so far back, and that race kind of did fall apart in a way that it helped him be able to close. We hadn't seen him that far back. If he tries to run the Breeders' Cup Futurity again, where he went 7 furlongs at Del Mar and he was on a 44 second opening half mile, I think he's in trouble in this race. So we'll see what type of strategy we have from Velasquez here, because if he shows the speed he showed early sprinting, it's going to be a very difficult race to stay ahead and stay in front. And that's the other reason I left the Prince of Monaco off the ticket. I am scared shitless of this horse, though. This is the one that I'm most scared of that I left off my ticket. This was my 3rd pick in this race. So I completely respect Prince of Monaco, completely understand why you like him. I just ended up without using him just because I'm playing a $60, $5 ticket, and you got to go skinny there and you got to take some shots. And to me, I wanted to include a different horse instead of Prince of Monaco.
So you went too deep, and we both agreed on this other horse, and that's the very lightly raced but very impressive in 2 starts. The number 2, Speakeasy. I read Ortiz riding for Todd Pletcher. Broke the maiden on debut, was somehow 8-1. We look back at that. I think that was the race where you had the very high-priced, Victory Avenue was in there.
Victory Avenue went off at 3-2 and took a ton of money.
And by the way, still hasn't run back since then. That was January 12th. I was looking at January 27th. Corporate Power was in that race. He came back and won next out. But anyways, we're both using Speakeasy in here. I thought that allowance win, first time versus winners, was even more impressive than his maiden win.
I agree. I don't think that that allowance win did Speakeasy justice. Did not have a clean trip there at all. First time off the layoff, first time against winners as a 3-year-old against older. All bunch of reasons for Speakeasy not to run well in that race. And he put them all to bed and did not get asked down the lane and still was able to gallop away. Broke the maiden at 7 furlongs. And you know what, to me, was like the huge tip of the hand here? Irad had the choice between the 2 and the 8. He chose the 2. Like, he had the Bookham Dano mount if he wanted it. And Bookham Dano is your favorite and has won a graded stakes at 7 furlongs over this track. Like, yet he is choosing to go with the 2. It tells you the upside for Speakeasy. To me, this was a pretty easy one to include on the ticket, especially at the 8-1 price, a price that I think we're going to get close to. I think it's probably bet down to 5-1, 6-1, but you're still going to get a very good price here on Speakeasy because World of Trouble is going to take some money. Bookham Dano is going to obviously get bet. Timberlake, we haven't talked about, is getting bet. Prince of Monaco is getting bet. Domestic Products getting bet. Like, there's just not enough money to drive all of these horses' odds down, and that means that Speakeasy probably isn't going to get hammered too much under a 6-1 price.
You mentioned that allowance race, the Speakeasy won in his second career start. 7 of those 8 rivals. I don't know what he beat there. They haven't run back since, but 7 of those 8 horses that he beat were 4 and up. There was only one other 3-year-old in that race. The rest were all older. So yeah, very impressive. And it's worth noting, this will be his first time ever running in the second start of a form cycle. Well, you always expect improvement, especially for a top trainer like Pletcher. Second time off of a layoff or in a form cycle is you should get a better effort. So I'm with you on that one. I will say, I'm going to guess that he had the choice between the 2 and the 8, but the fact that the 8 was cross-centered at Charlestown and just yesterday they announced that Bookham Dan was going to run here. I'm wondering if they were like, listen, we can have you run in for sure in a grade 1 race on a good horse, or you can maybe run in a grade 1 race on Bookham Daniel. Like maybe that was it, but regardless, the fact that Irad is there and you get some bum like Hall of Famer Javier Castellano on Bookham Daniel, it does lend to the fact that Irad's going to keep riding Speakeasy for him. I did go 4 deep actually, because there was one horse to add at the last second. I put world record on here as well. This horse is broken from the rail in his last 3 starts. 2 of them were wins. The only time he lost was the Maxfield Stakes, but he added blinkers last time out for the grade 2 Amsterdam, the prep for this one, going 6.5 furlongs. And there's some horses, there's a horse, some people in the chat like Jefferson Street, who was second. He was 6 3/4 lengths ahead of Jefferson Street. He demolished that field. He broke like a rocket from the rail. He kept on. He ran very well. Okay, so we lose Flavien Prat. We get Luis Saez on a speed horse. Saez is 4 for 6 riding for Brissett. This might be the grade 1 Brissett horse that you don't want to play on the weekend, but I'm going to play world record because I think this horse has got a world of talent. And okay, sure, he had a golden rail. Who's to say we don't get a golden rail here? It's Saratoga on a big day. Who's to say that doesn't happen again, Mike?
Yeah, that was such a speed favoring track. Like that effort was just grain of salt for me. And maybe it was the blinkers. Maybe that was the difference. Prove it to me. To me, this is one of those where with all of the speed in here, and specifically a little nigh on the outside and world record on the inside, they're both going here in this spot. I just couldn't get to world record even at the 8-1 price because it's an inflated number on a speed bias track. And so you look at both of those and it makes it just difficult for me to play back. I would be a little more interested in Jefferson Street on it, honestly, out of the 2 horses, because you're getting a significantly better price at 12-1. I think you're going to get every bit of that price. And we see Mott win these type of races a lot, especially from off the post or off the pace. And so I would take Jefferson Street over world record in this spot. But yeah, I can never play world record back off that race, especially with the way I feel like he's going to take some money here.
Jefferson Street was the 4-5 favorite in the Amsterdam and was second, but again, no pace pressure on world record. I think with Jefferson Street, if it wasn't the post, he would be on the ticket. I'm worried about him being so far out wide. There's a lot of speed. It should set up well for him, especially that win 2 back where he got a 102 buyer for beating older allowance horses. Super impressive effort that day too. But I think he's going to need a pace collapse and a couple other things to go his way. But a good horse in Jefferson Street, not trying to knock him one bit. So we talked about that Flavien Prat could have been on world record. He could have been on Prince of Monaco. He could have maybe been on Timberlake, which, side note, we've been saying for months, Timberlake's a one-turn horse, a mile 7 furlong horse. I would play him if it wasn't this race.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love Timberlake at this distance, but I couldn't get there specifically with this field.
Yeah. Anyways, there's 4 horses that Flavien Prat could have ridden, and his agent Brad Pegram was talking about how he doesn't tell Prat what to do. He asked Prat, which horse do you like? And Prat was working domestic product before he debuted last year as a 2-year-old and told Pegram, this horse has got some talent, let me ride him. The talent didn't show up on debut. He was 5th, beaten 12.5 lengths, but Flavien Prat rode him his last 2, and that grade 3 Dwyer Stakes win, 4-horse field. I understand. It was Hades and Bilal behind him. That's fine. He looked so good, and he's cutting back from the 1-turn mile. He's got so much talent, this horse. I still can't forget that the Tampa Bay Derby, when you had the horses running so slow, 25-1, 51 flat, 116-1, he came home in 11.5 second final furlongs in the last 3/16 of a mile. This horse was kicking some serious ass. in that race and got up. And by the way, had to split horses and fight hard to get between them for the win. I threw Domestic Product on. He's the very last horse that I put on my ticket, but I kept going back to this horse thinking, it's Pratt's Chad Brown. Would I be surprised if this horse won? No. Would I be very pissed if he won? I didn't have him. Absolutely. It's the goal. Shotty's not here, but the golden rule is leave Pratt off your pick 5 tickets at your own risk. I'm not risking it here. I'm putting Domestic Product on.
I would need 10-1 for this horse in this race.
Yeah, the odds suck.
I would need a monster price. And it's Brown, it's Pratt. Like you're not gonna get the float up here from Domestic Product. You might get some, but you're not getting 10-1, right? Yeah. I don't mind the cutback. I agree with you on that front. I like the fact that Pratt wants to ride him. The Dwyer, I wish there was any type of number that backed up that one. That's the biggest problem for me with Domestic Product. It's an outlier on time form. It's an outlier in Beyer. There's nothing else that says he can run that race. And the fact that race came in a 4-horse field, it makes me be like, meh. Like I just cannot give him credit to that level of number. And you're going to need to run that to win this race, most likely. So when you combine the price and the fact that it's the 4-horse field, it made Domestic Product a pretty easy one for me to leave off.
Quick question before we move on to the Travers. Chris asks, is Domestic Product the favorite? He's 9-2 third choice. Prince of Monaco 4-1 second choice. Bookham Dano is the morning line favorite 7-2. Timberlake, even though he's 5-1, I don't think he goes off close to favorite here. I think fourth choice is the best. So who goes off the favorite and what odds are you getting once they break?
Prince of Monaco will be your favorite at 5-2.
I was going to say him at 3-1. So yeah, we're kind of in that. It's Baffert. People are going to, at that point, they're playing the name on the jersey, right? Baffert Velasquez shipping into Saratoga for a big day.
Well, and everyone saw the Woody Stevens, right?
Yep.
Everyone's going to point to that. It's like the second time starter who broke poorly, rushes up, gets cut off, and then rallies to finish second. Like that's the exact trip that Prince of Monaco got last time they went 7 furlongs at this distance. And so I just don't see how he doesn't get that in this spot because of it.
All right, here we go. The 5th and final leg of the all grade 1 pick 5 at Saratoga. Saturday, August 24th. It's the grade 1 Travers Stakes, the Midsummer Derby for males and females. Hey, who knew? Phillies were going against the boys in the Midsummer Derby. Now there's a callback. There's a callback.
There's a callback.
Listeners, $1.25 million of the purse, and just like 6 years ago when Wonder Godot tried it, Torpedo Anna is going to try the boys in the Travers Stakes. I think she's got a slightly better chance than Wonder Godot did that day. But I talked about it, race of the year. You've got unbelievable storylines. Dornoch is trying to become the second horse in history to win the Belmont, Haskell, and Travers. Torpedo Anna is trying to be the 8th filly ever and the first since 1915 to win the Travers. Fierceness is trying to, for the first time ever, put 2 good races together in a row. Sierra Leone is trying to finally beat elite 3-year-old. Yeah. But if one of those 2 horses wins, Dornoch or Torpedo Anna, I think they go into the Hall of Fame because of their resume and what they've done. All that said, we each went 3 deep and we agreed on 2, but did we agree on the top pick?
No, we didn't, because I'm guessing
you did not put that horse on top. Are you kidding me?
Give me the number 4. Corporate Power, 15-1 on top. Let's go crazy. In the year of the 3-year-olds, where every result has been random, let's just go with a random horse. No, I actually do have some reason for this, okay?
That's a really good reason.
It is a pretty strong one. This was a lot about race shape for me. Okay, what do we know about this? We know Sierra Leone and Anna Marie are going to come from way back. Okay,
yep.
We know Unmatched Wisdom, Batten Down, Dornoch, Fierceness, and Torpedo Anna are all going to be forwardly placed. There's one horse that is going to be sitting the best trip because they're going to be right behind the speed, not having to push it, going to get an inside trip, and is second off the layoff, and is a horse that, if you look back through the past performances, actually feels like they could improve and run well in this spot. Like this is a horse who now you're getting second out as the 3-year-old off the layoff throughout the summer. The last race was the Curlin, lost to Unmatched Wisdom. Unmatched Wisdom went gate to wire on a speed favoring track that day. I would expect we're not going to see, and again, this is the gotcha is I expect we're not going to see a speed favoring track. Dornoch got carried by the track in the Haskell, got carried by the track in the Belmont. Fierceness was begging to lose last time he ran. Batten Down, I don't think can get the distance. Then all of a sudden, an Unmatched Warrior, I think, from a pace perspective, just to me makes it very unlikely that Unmatched Warrior able to win back. I've just eliminated over half the field, and Corporate Power is the one that's going to sit the really good trip. And so as much as I was surprised when I actually handicapped this and put the 4 on top, I think you could make a legitimate argument that there is a logical improvement angle second off the layoff, second time over the racetrack. Distance shouldn't be any type of an issue. The trip should be absolutely perfect. You get Hall of Fame jockey or Javier Castellano up. Like all of these different things. Is he in the Hall of Fame? He should be in the Hall of Fame if he's not.
He is, yeah.
All of these different things lead me to like a price here in this spot where you can't tell me that every one of these horses that are single-digit odds aren't wildly vulnerable. You could have huge knocks against Torpedo Anna, Sierra Leone, Unmatched Wisdom, Door and Fierceness. Why not take a shot with a horse that I think has a ton of upside and is sitting the right trip?
So Castellano is in the Hall of Fame. He's also won this race a record 7 times. That's insane. I did not realize Javier Castellanos won the Travers 7 times. He's had a wonderful career and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That alone is like, oh shit, get your ass in the Hall of Fame if you won the Travers 7 times. Shugs won it 4. If he wins it a 5th time, he will tie Burt Mulholland. Yes, that Burt Mulholland, everybody remembers from the 50s and 60s, for most wins by a trainer. And he won this with Code of Honor back in 2019. Javier Castellano won it last year with Arcangelo and in 2018 with Catholic Boy. So all of that said, if this horse wins, I'm going to be... couldn't use him. But you made a great case for him, and you're getting a great price.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I realize it's this. Look, he's not the best horse today. He could be the best horse on Saturday if he's able to improve. And I don't trust Torpedo Anna, Sierra Leone, Unmatched Wisdom, Door Fierceness, Batten Down, or Anna Marie. I don't trust any of them. So why not take a shot with somebody who is not any of them and at a price and a horse that has the logical improvement angles?
So you mentioned he might not be the best horse today, but he might be the best horse on Saturday. The best 3-year-old, regardless of gender, I think is Torpedo Anna. I think that's not, breaking. I think a lot of people agree with me on that one. But for everything that she's done throughout her career, the only blemish being the Goldenrod Stakes, and then she took a bunch of time off and came back, has been undefeated by open lengths ever since then. I'm putting her on top. It really would not surprise me if she won this race. It wouldn't surprise you because I know you used her as well. And unlike a lot of the other speed horses that you mentioned, which there are a lot, she's shown that she can sit off the pace a little bit and still win. She got her allowance win in her second career start by sitting off a little bit. She won the CCA Oaks and the Acorn both by sitting off of it a little bit. She was on the front end, but a pressured front end early in Kentucky Oaks and still drew off to win impressively. So Torpedo Anna, as long as she can handle facing the boys and she gets a 5-pound weight allowance for being a filly in here. Some people have been knocking her to say, well, she's not Rachel Alexandra. Well, no shit, she's not Rachel Alexandra. She doesn't need to be Rachel Alexandra because Rachel Alexandra was facing better males than I think some of the horses that are in here. I think that she fits, and I'm going to use her. She's my top pick.
Yeah, if she had run in the Belmont, I think she would have won. If she had won in the Jim Dandy or the Haskell, I think she would have won, considering the race that she ran in both the Oaks and the Acorn. So you got to kind of respect her here. Interesting with like the numbers from a numbers perspective. I know buyers, the Phillies numbers, all a lot lower than the male numbers that came back. Kind of surprised there. We'll see what happens. I like the fact that she doesn't need the lead. She can stalk and pounce. I would expect she ends up sitting 3rd or 4th here and then tries to close from there. I think she's going to get the pace to do so. I trust her more than I trust Fierceness or Door to run that. Like, that's the thing.
I love that you laugh every time that you bring up Fierceness's name.
It's just, I trust her more to run very well than I trust these other guys to run very well. I know she's going to run a race. I know she's going to bring it. The question is, will she be good enough? I don't know the answer to that one, right? But I do think that there is a legitimate chance that she shows up and she shows out here. And so I am more than willing to be able to include her on the ticket here. And I kind of wish, it's weird. I'm worried the price isn't going to be great. Like, I don't want her to be the favorite. And 3-1 even is a little bit of a concern. It feels like she should be a little bit higher, 4-1, just because she has a filly taking on the boys. But because of the way I'm playing this ticket, I'm not as price conscious here, especially since I do think there's going to be 4 horses that all take money.
I saw Chris say she's slow compared to these. She's not. Her career best buyer is 99 in the Acorn. Sierra Leone's best, 102, the first time he broke that. She's faster than every buyer that Corporate Power has earned. She's much faster than everything Batten Down has done. She's faster than everything Anna Marie has done. Dornoch has posted 101 and 103, but still she's within just a couple of points. The only horse that's really been above her in a considerable way is Fierceness for winning the Florida Derby. And Fierceness won last race. What do we do in this race? We chuck him. It's also, Todd Pletcher said after the Jim Dandy, like, we're gonna try and wait. He does better with spaces between his races. And all of us went, bullshit, Rapoli's gonna make you run here. And then Rapoli's like, I'm gonna listen to Todd. And hey, what do you know? Fierceness is in the race. Okay. Tell us more lies, Mike Rapoli. We're listening with closed ears here. Sierra Leone is not slow compared to these other horses, and she's been winning handily. So we don't even know what her actual best is when she really has to dig in, because we haven't had to see it from her. The other horse we agreed on here is the number 2 Sierra Leone, and the Jim Dandy Stakes is what watching that replay is what convinced me to use him on the ticket, because he was gaining ground on Fierceness, and he was gaining ground well, and he was running straight until Batten Down lugged in because he was tiring and slammed him in almost into the rail. Sierra Leone then had to run on the rail, and that day it was a really deep and kind of tiring spot. There was a couple of reasons Velasquez brought Fierceness off the turn way out in the middle of the track. One, the inside was slow. If you notice, Fierceness never was on the rail in that race. And 2, it was to make sure Sierra Leone had to go inside. Sierra Leone was fine going inside. He was gaining ground on him. It just was Batten Down's big lumbering gray ass just beat him into the rail and said, well, if I can't win this, neither can you. So Sierra Leone, I like that he's 7-2. This is finally the time where you can get him at a price, because he was, other than the Kentucky Derby, where he was almost the favorite, he was favored in his last 4 starts.
Yeah, look, I trust Sierra Leone's going to run well. That's, again, we're going back to the trust factor. And like, Sierra Leone hasn't run a bad race. Sierra Leone just hasn't gotten the job done in a while. And that to me is a big part of this year. But when I broke down the pace and when I broke down the why I ended up on the 4 Corporate Power and the structure of the race that I expect, I mean, doesn't it set up well for a closer, for someone to come from way off the pace? Someone like Sierra Leone, someone like Anna Marie. I think Sierra Leone's the better of those 2 horses. As much as I like Anna Marie, I think Sierra Leone's the better one. I don't fully trust Sierra Leone to get past everybody, though, and that's what led me to Corporate Power. It's like, I'm going to take a shot with a 15-1 over a shot with a 7-2 when I think that the 15-1 is going to get the better trip, and the 7-2 has proven that he doesn't go by. But I do think you almost have to use Sierra Leone here, just because the pace setup is so good. Like everything you said, I thought the Jim Dandy was actually an excellent race from Sierra Leone. He was closer to the pace that day as well. Like, there was a bunch of reasons why I thought Sierra Leone had a better chance to win that race than what we've seen in a lot of times. And oh, by the way, you also get a 1.25 miles instead of a 1.1 miles, which I think helps Sierra Leone here as well compared to what we saw in the Jim Dandy. And so, like, you outlined Fierceness and kind of why I'm against Fierceness there. I think the pace is also going to be tough. I don't like the outside draw because Fierceness is going to be 3 wide into the turn, going to be on the lead. Like, there's a bunch of reasons why I think that just doesn't set up well. And so for me, like, I think Sierra Leone is going to get a very good trip here. We'll see what Pratt does. I would expect Pratt tries to go outside down the lane or around the far turn and just sweep by these horses. I think there's pace to chase here. So I was 4-2 was my must uses. And then Torpedo Anna was the 3rd horse on for me. But yeah, I think it's 1-4-2 here, and that's all you need.
I threw Dornoch on at the last second. I woke up today and I was like, I've been wrong about him his last 2 races. He's been so impressive. And I can make excuses for his 2 big losses, right? The Bluegrass, they went into it saying, we're going to rate him. And Sai has listened, and he rated him, and that was a stupid decision, and Gargan said as much. That's my fault. The Kentucky Derby, he drew the rail, didn't break the best. Mystic Dan crossed right over on him, and that was it for him. The last 2 races, the Belmont, the Haskell, he looked like the same horse that won the Remsen, which was go to the lead. Doesn't matter if you get a breather or not. When someone challenges your ass, you dig in and you fight back. He beat Sierra Leone twice. He's beaten Mindframe twice, and Mindframe's a damn good horse. It just needs to get his head straightened out a little bit. And again, Aaron said this in his preview, and I don't disagree. If Dornoch wins this race, he has a Hall of Fame resume. He won the Grade 2 Remsen. He won the Belmont, the Haskell, and the Travers. One horse in history has won the Belmont, Haskell, Travers. If Dornoch does it, he's a Hall of Fame horse. And the 2 races I can make an excuse for, the other ones, he just loves to dig in and fight on the front end. His big thing is if Fierceness outbreaks him and pinches him back, now we've got a Kentucky Derby situation where now he's suddenly back farther than he likes to be, and the race is over from there.
I'm going to be very interested to see what happens when they go very fast in this race to Dornoch. And I realized that 2 back, a mile and a quarter, they went fast in the Belmont. That was also a heavily speed favoring track that day, right? And so the track helped him quite a bit there. I don't expect the same track. We'll see if we get it. We may get that super fast track. And if that's the case, then yeah, who knows? Maybe Dornoch is able to do this again. But I am very interested to see what happens to Dornoch when they go. I think they're going to go high 46s here. And if they go high 46s and Dornoch wins, then good on you, Dornoch. Congratulations, buddy. You're a better horse than I thought you were, or these are a bunch of donkeys, one of the two. But I think you're going to see a very fast pace because of the way this sets up. Like I don't see how Fierceness doesn't go. I think Dornoch goes. Unmatched wisdom is in this race to go. Yeah, Chad Brown thinks the horse could probably win. He's also a rabbit for Sierra Leone. So there is no breathers here. And we didn't even talk about Batten Down and Torpedo Anna, who at least are a pace presence in the race. They may not be on the lead, but they're at least going to be close to it. So I think this is just going to be blazing fast early, and I think that's the downfall for Dornoch.
There was a great article on Daily Racing Forum real quick. Dornoch's Dan Puka, who also produced Mage, Kentucky Derby winner, or Danny Gargan was talking about how they bought Dornoch before Mage had debuted. And so as soon as Mage debuted, then eventually the Kentucky Derby, they're like, wow, $325,000 was pretty damn good value for this horse overall. But they asked him, like, well, how did he look compared to Mage? Because Gargan also saw Mage at the sale and training. And he's like, oh, Dornoch was a much better looking. Like, he just slammed Mage. He was just like, oh, much better looking, better built. Like, I thought this horse was going to be, the best horse I've ever trained. But when I first saw him, he's like, compared to Mage, no, nothing like that. But the damn Puka was in Bill Mott's barn the same time as Close Hatches. Close Hatches produced Batten Down, also produced Tacitus, Scylla, who we talked about earlier on the card. I think there's one other horse I'm forgetting. But imagine being Bill Mott, and it's like the offspring of two mares that you had in your barn at the same time are now both in the Grade 1 Travers, and you're training one of them. That just got to be a cool thing to experience as a Hall of Fame trainer like Bill Mott.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean, that's I want to know the next Puka, right? That's what we got to find out, right? So where's the next one coming next year? Not Ed Burke, Nick Severs, real quick. The Belmont was very fast with speed favoring. The Haskell was, you think was fast? Because I thought the same thing. They went 48, 112, 137. They never went sub 12 seconds for any furlong in the Haskell.
Slower than the Belmont.
Which is when you think about it, you're like, whoa, really? Because I thought that was a fast race too. And then I went back and looked at it and I was like, wait a second. No, it was not fast. The Haskell was actually a pretty easy pace up front. And the Belmont was crazy, but the Belmont also, like, you go back and you look at that whole day at Saratoga, like, the track was carrying horses across the wire there.
Bill Mott's old. Well, go look at him.
If you've won a race 30 times on your birthday at Saratoga, you're old, because that means you've been a trainer for 30 years at Saratoga.
Or you just got the juice of all juice and things work.
Yeah. And you started training at 18 or something.
Well, that's going to do it for the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us to talk about the all Grade 1 Pick 5 races 9 through 13 at Saratoga on Saturday, August 24th. For the podcast listeners, we'll give out our tickets one more time. If you're watching us, thanks for joining us. Hit the like button, please. We appreciate it. And then take a look down below for our tickets. I'll start for 50 cents. I'm going to go 2-4 with 3-4 with 4-6-8 with 1-2-3-5 with 1-2-7. $72 for me. The Franken ticket would absolutely hit, and it wouldn't cost you that much for 50 cents. Where'd you go, Mike?
No, you just be adding the 8 in the second to last leg and the 4 in the last leg there. So it's not expensive at all. I'm playing a $5 ticket here. We are going big or going home here. I'm going to go 2 with 3 with 6-8 with 2-8 with 1-2-4. $60 for $5.
Good luck to everybody playing. Make sure, if you haven't yet, go over to racingnews.com. Check out the Travers Stakes Betting Bible. It's available now. Aaron and Jerry continuing to modify it. Some people really miss the bankroll management articles that they used to have in there. It's back, but they also kept some of the other new features. It's basically all of the good things that we've had in separate wagering guides, betting Bibles that were in different parts. They're all together in this one. So we're trying to figure out what's the best thing for our customers to help make you the most money before the Breeders' Cup. They think it's this one. Go check them out. They're talking about them blinkers off as well. They talk about all the races this weekend, not just the Saratoga, but the Pat O'Brien at Del Mar, which is a Breeders' Cup winning year for the Dirt Mile. The King's Plate got rescheduled to Friday, the 23rd of August at Woodbine. I'll actually be live on FanDuel TV covering that, which I was supposed to be last week when that was happening, and then they got rained off. So it was nice of them to give me that shift back again. this time. And then the what else is Charlestown Classic is Friday night, and Dudes After Dark with Shoddy, Davey, Curtis Manlow, Phil Pedlow, maybe Nick Stevers if he decides to not be a lazy git. They'll all be live covering that. So join us live here on the YouTube channel. The late races at Charlestown starting at 6:45 p.m. Eastern time, culminating the $1 million Grade 2 Charlestown Classic. I didn't look at the field yet for that. I don't think Skippy Longstockings is going to be in it. He just ran pretty recently, so I don't think he's back to try and win that again. Have you looked at it at all?
No, I've not. I've been Saratoga and Del Mar blinkers on right now, and so that's where consistently we're looking at.
Charlestown Grade 2 Classic, mile and eighth. It's race 11, so that's a 10:20 Eastern start time. I'll just read them off. Lord Miles, Warrior Johnny, Paroli, who last race was fourth in the Pleasanton Mile. A Japanese horse's name that neither one of us wants to say, but Diodoro trains, so you know what's going on there. Ben Dug for Bill Mott, Coastal Mission. Skippy Longstocking is back. Okay, he just ran 3 weeks ago. He's back. Okay, so Skippy Longstocking back to try and win the Charlestown Classic. A big reason Skippy Longstocking earned $2.5 million in his career is because he's won the Charlestown Classic. That'll do it.
Yep. He likes winning. He likes that race course. What is this, Friday night, right?
Friday night, yeah. Also, Velocitor, I'll finish out. Velocitor, Frosted Departure for Kevin McPeak, and Double Crown are in that race. But Skippy Longstocking, your even money morning line favorite in a field of 10 to win back-to-back Charlestown Classics. Join the team here live Friday evening covering all of that. And, of course, check out the Racing Dudes Betting Bible for the Travers Stakes. Mike Somich, you mentioned you're in Vegas right now because you're going to be on air so much, but give us exactly the days and times you're doing it.
Noon to 2 Eastern tomorrow, Lombardi Line, co-hosting that. I'll also be on from 5 to 6 Eastern on Sharp Money for an hour, so 3 hours tomorrow. Then I'll be on from noon to 3 East Coast time, 9 to noon Pacific on Saturday and Sunday for the Handle, the normal show. And then I'll be on Monday morning at 8 a.m. as well for a half hour with a numbers game before heading back to sunny Santa Barbara.
So the name on screen is the name of the Japanese horse that Diodoro is going to juice up for the Classic. Do you want to say that name? Do you want to give it a shot?
Como Ribono Omudio. Como Ribonio. Como Ribonio. O Mode?
Omoidi? Like Como Ribino Omoidi.
I'm going with Omode. I think the E is silent.
Nailed it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8. I'll be on FanDuel TV all weekend long. I'll be at Del Mar live on the set on Sunday. I'm excited about that.
Look at that. Moving on up.
Make sure you tune in to catch Mike Somich as well over on VSiN. Until next week, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike, and I'm going to go buy some pants. I forgot to pack pants for the trip. I only have
no, just leave it right there. Mike's off to buy pants. We're gonna leave before he stands up. Goodbye, everybody.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.